What if we never invented this? Plastic. Once a revolutionary invention, it's now filling up our oceans and killing thousands of whales, birds, turtles. Just how much plastic do we have around us? Would our life be less comfortable without it? How many animal species could we save by getting rid of plastic debris? This is What If, and here's what would happen if plastic was never invented. Your plastic bag is actually chemically processed natural gas or oil. You can tear it or burn it or throw it away when you're done with it, but it won't decompose the way this loaf of bread will. Since the 1950s, we've created 6.3 billion tons of plastic. 9% of it we've recycled, another 12% incinerated. That leaves us with 4.9 billion tons of plastic waste. If we could gather it all in one place, this plastic mountain would be bigger than Mount Everest. A lot of this waste ends up in the sea, killing marine animals who mistake this indigestible synthetic for food. If we eliminated plastic from our lives, we'd save hundreds of marine species from entanglement and plastic ingestion. But what about us? What would our routine be like without plastic? How much do we depend on plastic anyway? Even if you avoided using plastic containers to bring your lunch to work, or bagged your groceries with reusable shopping bags, you'd still be a far cry from going absolutely plastic-free. Plastic is everywhere. Aluminum cans are lined with plastic resin. Without it, your cola would corrode it within 3 days. Paper cups hide a thin layer of plastic too. How do you think they keep the liquid inside? No plastic would also mean no tea bags, since they're heat-sealed with polyethylene. Without plastic, grocery shopping would look very different. Our liquids would come in glass bottles, our meats and cheese would be wrapped in paper. You'd pack all your groceries in paper bags or cardboard boxes. One of the main benefits of plastic packaging is that it keeps food fresh longer. Without this basic method of food preservation, a lot of our food would need to be raised or grown locally, and much of it would only be available seasonally. Organic waste would fill up the landfills and become our main environmental concern. Our clothing would be limited to natural fibers. No polyester socks, nylon dresses, or acrylic sweaters. Say goodbye to your fleece jacket. Heat and water-resistant safety wear wouldn't exist either. Without the plastic needed for electrical insulation, there would be no inexpensive circuits to build your phone or computer. Even early electronics in the 1910s used one of the first plastics, bakelite. Without any plastic, we'd be stuck in 1870, still using non-durable and hazardous lacquer and rubber to insulate our wires. All the progress we've made with affordable electronics would never have happened. But at least we wouldn't be polluting the earth with disposable coffee cups, water bottles, toothbrushes, and other plastic stuff. And 700 marine species wouldn't be affected by plastic debris. If the thought of someone taking your plastic away doesn't ruin your day, consider moving to Kenya or Bangladesh, where it's illegal to use plastic bags. And you might consider getting some of these slimy pets. 6,000 waxworms can eat up a plastic bag in just 1 hour. Are you trying to get plastic out of your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And keep challenging us with new hypothetical ideas.
Do we have the courage to face the realities of our time? and allow ourselves to feel deeply enough that it transforms us and our future. Come with me on a journey through the eye of beauty. Across an ocean of grief. And beyond.
Every single albatross that you see across this landscape has been fed plastic. So as you open it up, you can see
that's incredible.
All that plastic that's inside this bird. The problem is they've eaten a cigarette lighter. They'll fly that all the way back from the center of the ocean and feed it to their chick here. When we find chicks that didn't make it and you look as the carcass decomposes, the feathers will dissolve, the bones will dissolve, but what's left behind is that plastic. You get this perfect little circle. They're eating many of the same things that we eat. They're feasting on fish. I eat calamari. So when I look at the albatross, I don't just see a beautiful bird, which it is, but I see an animal not dissimilar to us that faces many of the same challenges we face and whose success is very much intertwined with our success as a society. We're a bellwether for what's going to happen to the rest of the planet.
5 trillion pieces of plastic are currently floating through our world's oceans. That's as many pieces of plastic as there are stars in the galaxy, 25 times over. At this rate, by the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the oceans than fish. And what's worse, this plastic will never ever decompose. It'll just break down into smaller bits that end up getting eaten by fish. And guess who eats that fish? Us. Plastic is a design failure, an indestructible material that never goes away. But cleaning up the oceans and shorelines keeps plastic off the food chain. By disrupting the cycle, we can save our oceans. Adidas and Parlay are transforming plastic pollution into high-performance sportswear. From 11 million plastic bottles, 1 million pairs of shoes can be made, turning threat into thread. Reinventing how recycled materials are used is the challenge. Education and awareness are important parts of this cleanup. Reducing how much plastic we use is part of that first step. You can do your part by downloading the Runtastic app. For every kilometer ran, Adidas will donate $1 for the Parlay Ocean Plastic Program, up to $1 million. The program's goal is to end the cycle of plastic pollution for good. Ditch plastic, save the world. Share this video if you're ready to rethink plastic.
But it was just utterly devastating to see that much trash in an area that's supposed to be, untouched by humans. The trash collects on tide and current lines. When the currents and the tides and the winds are just right, it collects in these huge, massive lines. In this case, there was an area about 2 miles wide that had multiple trash lines. The majority of the trash were small pieces of styrofoam and plastic that had been broken down by wind and wave. You couldn't tell what it was. There was a seemingly infinite number of plastic forks, spoons, drinking bottles. And it's a crucial habitat to juvenile fish and turtle species, especially juvenile turtle species. It's where most of the hatchlings when they escape all their predators. That's what they ideally find, and they'll drift in that until they get large enough to survive. Will throw their trash in the rivers and, out of sight, out of mind. And then when we get heavy rains, that trash will wash downriver and end up in the ocean. You also get trash that just washes out from daily living. And so if it goes to a landfill that happens to be near a water source and there's a heavy rain, even the trash from the landfills can end up in the ocean.
Un pequeño municipio le ha enseñado a toda una nación que con actitud se puede hacer historia.
Aunque sea bien pobre, todo tiene servilletas tradicionales para la tortilla, para ir a comprar el pan. Cada diseño que hacemos lleva nuestros pensamientos, nuestra idea, nuestra cultura.
Nuestras bolsas del bosque, si se echa a perder, se convierten en abono después. Ahora las bolsas plásticas no se degradan, se contaminan. Si nosotros regresamos a las prácticas ancestrales, ellos no usaban ese plástico.
Algunos amigos me llaman el revolucionario. Esta es nuestra propia voluntad, nadie nos obliga. Usamos nuestro propio recurso. Sacamos 600 a 700 costales de basura todo el año.
Este proyecto no genera votos, no genera cuestiones financieras. Por eso es que pocos se atreven a tomar esta decisión. En menos de un año hemos reducido el 80% del consumo de estos elementos. Nos fuimos de puerta en puerta a sensibilizar y a enseñarles que hacer un rescate del planeta era importante a través del cambio de actitud de cada uno de los pobladores de este municipio.
Si tenemos esa conciencia y tampoco vamos por partidos políticos, yo voy por el ambiente, no es difícil.
Una vez un anciano se me acercó y me dijo: muchas gracias, porque hoy puedo decir que mis hijos y mis nietos van a nadar y van a pescar donde yo nadé y pesqué hace 50 años.
Nameless. Every minute, a garbage truck's worth of plastic ends up in our oceans. Plastic waste remains one of the most serious problems facing our world today. But Costa Rica wants to change this by banning all single-use plastics by 2021. Costa Rica's ban on single-use plastics comes at a time when plastic is truly choking our global waters. Currently, there is a garbage patch bigger than Texas floating in the Pacific Ocean. It's even estimated that by 2050, the amount of plastic in the ocean could grow so much that it will outnumber the amount of fish. Costa Rica currently produces 4,000 tons of solid waste every day, and 20% of that ends up in beaches, rivers, and forests. So, the country decided to take action. In 2017, Costa Rica started making changes towards a national goal to eliminate all single-use plastics by 2021. Single-use plastics, or disposable plastics, are plastics that are used only once and include items like plastic bags, straws, coffee stirrers, water bottles, and most food packaging. These items are especially worrisome because, compared to other forms of trash, they take the longest amount of time to biodegrade. For example, it can take 450 years for a single-use plastic bottle to biodegrade and up to 20 years for a plastic bag to even begin to disappear. So, what's Costa Rica's plan exactly? The country has implemented a multi-strategy effort that financially incentivizes private and public institutions to stop using single-use plastics. The plan also supports and encourages innovative research projects for sustainable replacements to plastic. Costa Rican college students have already discovered a plastic alternative made from bananas that looks to be 5 times stronger than plastic and can disintegrate in just 18 months. How are you reducing plastic waste? Tell us in the comments. Nameless.
The world have the problem with plastic. Here in Norway, we think we have the solution.
Most places, an empty bottle like this would just be thrown in the bin or maybe even chucked on the street, but not here in Norway. I've come back inside the shop and this machine is going to reward me for bringing my bottle back.
When we buy a bottle of soda or something, we pay 1 kroner extra, and when we put it in the machine, we get that money back again.
And it's really easy because you recycle and it's good for the environment.
A bottle can be recycled more than one time. It can actually be recycled 12 times. We separate the clear bottle from the colored bottle. The clear can be used in new bottles, the colored bottle can be used in new plastic material. If soft drink producer join our system, they pay less taxes. Everyone wins.
Thank you. People say, made of what? And you're like, it's pasta. We tried paper, but what we find then was people would have them in the drinks for about 20 seconds, take them out, they would be going to mush. We tried metal, they were very expensive. We sort of put a stop on all. We looked at doing the biodegradable straws, but there was no lifespan on that, so then we stumbled across the pasta straw. Say no to plastic and say yes to pasta.
To make an eco-brick, you can use plastic bags, cannot be recycled, styrofoam.
You can put toothbrushes. If it's straw, then you cut a little bit.
They can use just 12 eco-bricks, and they've made something cool. Group of trainers is doing workshops almost every day here in Indonesia, and there's literally hundreds of thousands of people making eco-bricks in Indonesia.
And that is adult, elderly people, teenagers, kids, boys, girls, men, women, kind of poor, rich,
This has been spreading like crazy in Southeast Asia. We began in the Philippines, it's moved to Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Malaysia, India. We also have eco-brickers in England and the UK. South Africa is also making tons. In order to find out what happens to plastic in my country, I worked at a recycling facility in a city in Canada and discovered that almost all the plastic gets shipped to Asia, where it gets recycled, but recycled into something that can be only used once or twice again. And then it ends up here in the environment, dump sites, the ocean, the rivers. Eco-bricks are a way to take responsibility, personal responsibility for our plastic.
We've kept about 180,000 plastic bottles out of landfills and out of the ocean. We take a plastic bottle like this, we chop it into tiny little pieces and then shred the polyfibers. Then we take those polyfibers and then we spin that into yarn. And then we take that yarn and we blend it with a few other fibers and then make it into fabric. So basically it comes out like this. anything that we drink, any plastic wrapping that we take off of a candy bar or out of a cell phone that we just purchased, any of that plastic wrapping, that's going to be on this planet much, much longer than we're going to be here. When this plastic goes into the ocean, it basically breaks down into little microplastics, and then those microplastics are ingested by fish and other organisms, and then those toxins are biomagnified up the food chain to us ultimately. As a consumer, we have to make that decision to, use a reusable plastic, a reusable metal or glass bottle. And, when you go to the store, limit your use of plastic bags, things like that. Because, if everyone understands what is at stake, then everyone can make a difference together.